Hi everybody. If you're watching this video, it means that you have completely finished all 4 sheets of your patterns. The 2 big ones, the 2 small ones, and you are ready to start constructing these papers to build your houses. So this video is going to show you how to make a roof for each one of your buildings. Now behind me you can see there are several different styles of roofs. Because there are several different styles of roofs in the world. So I'm going to show you each one, talk a little bit about each one, and then you can decide your 2 favorites, and we'll talk about how to create those. First, let's take a look at these 2 roofs. These are very simple triangle-shaped roofs. You can see that this one is taller and this one is shorter. Gives you a little bit of a different look. Now this rectangle that you see glued on here and here, that's called a cornice. Every roof that you make, you have to create a cornice. It's just a little bit of fancy to make your buildings look finished and complete. In this picture, you can see an actual house. See that fancy rectangular area below the roof? That's a cornice. Now let's take a look at this triangle roof. You can see it's a little bit different. Its sides are curved up instead of straight up and down. You can see that gives it a little bit of a different look. This one kind of reminds me of the roof on a circus tent. Now here's a roof that looks like it started out as a triangle with its top cut off. And this is an actual style roof called a Mansard roof. It has angled sides and a flat top. Now here is one with a little bit of a different design. You can see that it's angled up, or it's curved up straight off the top, and then I added a little bit of decorative cutting at the top. You'll notice that the cornice here is fancy too. This style of roof is called a dome because it is round. It's got a flat bottom and the rest of it is like a half circle. The cornice on this one is fancy too. Now that you've seen all of the different styles of roofs, I hope you have decided on a couple that you would like to make. Now remember, before you get started, you have to have all 4 of these pattern papers done. Another thing that you're going to need to locate, you're going to need to find this basket. That word right there is cornice, because every building has to have one cornice. And in this basket, you have several different colors of little strips that you can choose from to make that very special piece. To get started, you need to make sure that you have 1 building paper and 1 roof. You're also going to need to choose 1 cornice color that you think is going to look nice with your building. You probably shouldn't use the color of the roof and you shouldn't use the color of the building. So if I choose this dark purple, that's going to look great. I'm going to need scissors and a pencil and an eraser maybe, and definitely some glue. So let's get started. First, I'm going to show you how to make the triangle type of roofs. Now, this is easy. It's just a triangle. You can have a tall, you can have a short, or you can have the fancy curved kind. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to draw my triangle. So if I want a tall triangle, I'm going to make it the whole size of the paper. But if I wanted one of those shorter triangles, then I would make it a little bit shorter. Or if I wanted one of those curved triangles, I would make it start at the top, curve down to the bottom. Now, if you don't like how it looks, use your eraser and just simply fix it. That's better. Now let me tell you one thing that you want to avoid. You want to avoid having a triangle that does not fit your building. You'll notice that on each of these triangles, the bottom of the triangle is at the corner of one side and the other corner of the triangle is clear on the other side of the paper. Here and here, here and here. that way we know that the triangle is going to fit and it's not going to be too small, because that's just going to look out of proportion, like a roof that does not go with a building. Once I am happy with the shape that I have, I'm just simply going to use my scissors and cut on the line. And there is my new roof. Now attaching it to the building is very easy. A little line of glue at the very top edge, and put that guy on there. You will notice that you will probably have a little bit of your building showing outside the roof, and that's okay for now. The next step is to add the cornice, and when we add the cornice, it's going to cover up whatever part of our building is showing outside of our roof. So let's take a look and see how to do that. When you take the paper out of the basket, this is going to be way too big. Obviously, that looks a little ridiculous, but I made them bigger so that you could make them fancy if you want to. We'll talk about how to make a fancy one in a moment, because I think I want this one to just be sort of plain. And so I'm going to use my scissors, and I'm just going to cut a nice skinny rectangle. And that's going to go right there on my building to make a nice cornice. Now you can make it as skinny or as thick as you want, but like I said, too thick is going to look a little strange. I think I want mine to be a little bit narrower. To attach, all you do is add a line of glue right here where it's going to go, stick it on, make sure that it's equally sticking out on both sides, and that house is done for now. Now let me show you something that should not happen. If I glue my cornice too far down, look, it's not going to cover up those corners. And that just looks a little bit strange. So make sure you push the cornice up high enough that it covers up any part of your building that is still showing. Next, I'm going to show you how to make these type of roofs. This is called a Mansard roof. That means that it has slanted sides, but it's flat across the top. This one is similar. It just has curved sides instead. Make sure you have one house, one roof, and go ahead and select your cornice piece before you get started. Now to draw this type of roof, again, we're going to flip our paper over, and we're going to use a pencil first to draw it out. It's going to be flat across the top, and it's going to have two slanted sides that come all the way down to the corner of your paper. Remember, we don't want our roof to be too small, so we're going to always make the bottom of our roof to the corner of the paper. Now, if I wanted to draw this kind, I'll show you how to draw that style. I'm going to go ahead and make a flat top across the top, even though I have those cutouts. I'll show you how to do those in a second. Curve down to the corners, like that. Now, to make those cutouts, basically, they're just going to be rectangles or squares that you draw across the top and then cut out with your scissors. Once your lines are all drawn, we're going to use our scissors and we're going to cut carefully on the line. And then I'm just going to snip, snip, and I'll have a nice fancy rooftop. There it is. Now, like before, we're going to attach with one little line of glue across the top of our house and set the roof in place. Now, here is my piece for my cornice. I'm going to show you how to make a fancy cornice this time. I'm going to show you how to make one like this. As you probably guessed, it's going to be very similar to how I made that. You can draw this on if you want, but if you think you can handle it, we can just start snipping. Basically, I'm going to snip out little squares or little rectangles. Move over, a couple more snips, and I'm going to do this all the way across until I get to the other side. And there I have a fancy cornice. I'm ready to glue this in place. Something else to think about though is, do I want to glue it right side up? That looks nice. Or do I want to glue my cornice going that way? That's also nice. That becomes a creative artist decision that is up to you. All done. And finally, the last style of roof I'm going to show you is how to make the dome style roof. Now this one's pretty easy. Basically, it's just a half circle. But there's something I want you to notice first. This building that I have is the smaller sized building. And I noticed when I picked out this roof, that roof is really big for this building because my building is smaller. However, if I turn my roof this way, it's not quite as big. It fits a little better. So just check before you create your roofs, which way is it going to fit best? Mine's going to fit best that way, so that's the way that I will use it. I'm going to flip this over just like I did on all my other roofs. I'm going to use the bottom as full size, and I'm going to draw just a half circle. Start at the corner, make a nice dome shape. If you're not happy with it, use your eraser and fix it, but I think mine's okay. And I'm ready to cut this out. As usual, cut very carefully. Stay on your line. There's my roof. Now I already picked my cornice piece, and I'm going to use red for the cornice. This time I'm going to show you how to make two cornices. I'm going to show you how to make a zigzag cornice. I'm also going to show you another easy one, which is the curvy line cornice. They're both pretty simple. In fact, you could probably figure this out on your own. So on one side of my cornice piece, when I cut across, all I'm going to do is cut in a zigzag line. Now you can draw this on first if that makes you more comfortable, but if you feel like you are able to just cut a zigzag, then that is what you should do. So that's what a zigzag cornice would look like. Now let's take a look and see how to make a wavy line cornice. Again, you've probably figured this out already. When I cut, I'm just going to cut in a wavy line. From one side to the next. And then that's what that would look like. Now let me show you something that you want to make sure that you don't do. You'll notice I have a nice wavy line cornice. It's all ready to go. But when I glued it on, I didn't push it up far enough to cover up that little space of my building that's showing. You want to make sure when you glue your cornice on that you are hiding anything that is below. So here's my little line of glue. Here's my roof. Here's the glue for my cornice. And I want to make sure, not down here, but right here, so that everything is hidden behind there. Let me show you one more thing that I want you to make sure that you don't do. Can you see the problem with this roof and cornice? You probably can. First of all, the cutting doesn't look like the artist stayed on the line. The cornices are very crooked, and I can see some of my building showing from behind. So this is not what we're going for. When you make your building roofs and cornices, you want to make sure that everything is neatly cut, glued on straight, and that everything looks neat and tidy. Not like this one. Get out of here. So there you have it. You now know about all of these different styles of roofs, how to draw, cut out, and glue them on, what a cornice is, and how to create that. So now you are ready to get started. Now when you have finished both of your buildings, and you have two buildings with a roof and a cornice each, you need to bring those to me, and you need to tell me that you are ready for the next step. Have fun!